Do you want to even do the business? Because it feels to me like you want to get away from it.
I was ready to just kind of give up.
On the balance sheet, it says you have 400 grand in the bank.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm late like 10 minutes every single day.
Not a whole lot of people want to work laborious jobs anymore.
What do they think of you? Like, what do they think you're doing all
I mean, there was a couple times, yeah, he'd stop and get a shooter here and there, but I mean, he wasn't like drinking on the job, I guess. I guess he was.
This sounds terrible, but I've never really been in love with this business.
Today we're in Missouri with Jesse from Edwards Lawn Care. Now, Jesse has said that he's doing around $400,000 in annual revenue. I'm not really sure if I trust that number because the numbers seem to be all over the place on the profit and loss statement and on the balance sheet. So I don't really trust those numbers. So let's figure out what those numbers really are. But the problem is he doesn't seem like he's focused on the business. He literally moved away to California and just kind of let the business run on its own. Let's see if we can turn this thing around, make it more profitable, get him to know his numbers, and grow the business.
Jesse, what's up, dude?
Hey.
Is this your place?
Yep.
Cool.
This is mine. Yeah.
Awesome. How long you lived here?
8 years.
Hello, my name is Jesse Edwards. I own Edwards Lawn Service. I have 5 employees. One of them is a office assistant. She's a local virtual assistant. She works from home because we don't have an office space. I have 4 guys out in the field. We typically have 1 or 2 more throughout the summertime. My annual revenue right now is $470,000. I decided to move to LA to sell solar for 8 months and try and either make an exit or just see if the business would run itself.
One of the hardest things in my life that happened was in the same month. It was 3 years ago. The guys all left during COVID. Then she broke up with me, moved right in with another guy. Just all at once, right before the spring. I was out there trying to save the business.
2020?
It's all been a blur.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And is that when you moved out to California?
About a year after
Got it.
is when I did. I was running away from problems that I just needed to press into and do the work. Mike talks about this a lot, but the woman in the red dress, Alex Hormozy says that, you know, it was a big distraction is what it was.
So was the business still running while you were gone?
It was.
Oh, interesting.
The reason this is here, my twin brother's in a wheelchair.
Okay.
I hired him to, answer the phone, send
Yeah.
invoices. As you can tell, I was ready to just kind of give up. I started a mowing business because it's low barrier entry, but then, I realized I have an expensive job. Then I hired employees. And then that's a whole nother animal, having employees. And
So when you were gone in California, the business was still running here?
yeah.
And then was it just you remotely kind of operating it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was just talking to my brother every day on the phone.
So he was doing remote kind of office work.
Yep.
And then out in the field, was there like a leader or a manager?
Yeah,
or-
Tracy.
This will be my 8th season, and then I took 1 year off 2 years ago. So I came back, and I love doing lawn care. Lawn care, tree work, shrubs, just kind of all of it. It's done primarily since I was 18, so.
When they left, I went through 31 employees. It was so tough. I'm 31 and the stress, I was like, this could kill me.
Yeah.
It was a lot, but I got through it. I kept getting a crew of, 3 or 4, and
Yeah.
just people kept leaving.
We had quite a few guys go through last year. Last year's problems was pretty much a whole lot of personal problems on guys and not showing up to work on time. There's a couple guys that got fired from running from the cops, just things that we're not going to tolerate.
I've left this job like three times. I have said since I left the first time, I'm nobody's because that's what I felt like whenever I worked for Jesse the first time that I worked for him. Because, he just overworked us and I underpaid. And whenever me and Tracy quit together, he had quit and I'd quit because we were both underappreciated, undervalued, underpaid, and Jesse just wanted more from us.
So how long were you in California?
I was there for 7.5 months.
Okay, so basically 1 season. And then so when the guys were leaving and stuff like that, was Tracy hiring people and getting them all set up, or you just basically let it be?
Yeah, I just pretty much wanted to just be on autopilot and it just run.
Jesse going to California, I understand what he's doing, but with timing and everything, that wasn't a smart decision because he came back and he was really mad at me and Tracy. He was upset with the company, how we were running it. And it's like, you left. We were here working 60 plus hours a week.
I was out there just hustling, trying to make it. I just wanted to see if I could. I really have never, this sounds terrible, but it's just the truth, but I've never really been in love with this business or the industry. This might sound weird to some, but it's just, I always want to do something like sexier, you know?
So you went and did solar sales, right?
Jesse's longtime girlfriend broke up with him and immediately moved in with someone else. And I get that's very difficult on a personal side. But then he picked up and just left to go to California as just sort of a way to cope with that pain. And I get it. However, for the business's perspective, being thousands of miles away when you only have a few employees can be very, very hard. And the fact that he even has a business today is surprising. He's extremely lucky they had this rock star employee that really kept the whole thing together while he was gone for years.
From a cash perspective, what I'm seeing on the balance sheet is that like there's tons of cash. Like that's not a problem.
So I don't know if that's been updated.
Okay.
I'm trying to learn. I literally I'm taking your MBA course right now.
So how much cash is actually like
So I
available
have
for the bank?
about around 85 right now. I really never knew how to look at my numbers, but last year, so I had a situation. I switched accountants. Comes tax season, and I called to the firm, and they're like, "Oh, he's no longer with us." So nothing was getting taken care of. I thought at the time I paid those taxes. They're like, "Hey, you owe $27,000 from 2021." I'm like, "What?" Like, I don't know. I'm realizing, like, I'm listening to you and others, like, your accountants don't do everything for you.
So right now, if we've gone from 300,000 in the bank basically to 80,000, is the business basically just sucking cash? What's sort of the status of the business?
I'm sorry, I kind of got lost there. There's two other things that happened. I bought 2 mowers to try and get a tax write-off. It probably sounds crazy, but I made a $30,000 investment. And this was before all this happened, because I've had that money sitting there and I've wanted to buy another house or just some sort of investment. So really that's just probably poor management on my side.
Yeah.
But it's like the unforeseen with the tax situation. Now I know to have an IRS account and I have to be checking it every single year. I guess apparently sometimes your CPAs don't see those things, or maybe it was just switching from one to the other.
So I don't know what this $30,000 investment is. I don't like to pry into people's financial lives too much, but honestly, why are we focused on that? Put the money into your business. For most small business owners, the best return on investment, the best ROI is putting the money into your business and growing the company. Otherwise, we get the shiny object syndrome, which is like, we're gonna do some investing over here and do some real estate. We're gonna do some stocks. We're gonna do some crypto. And all these things cause you to be distracted from the business. And I have evidence that he's distracted because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he got a $27,000 tax bill. That is a telltale sign of someone not paying attention to their business.
So in terms of the day-to-day operations in the business right now, like what's sort of your focus? Are you doing sales most of the time? Because like basically what I've seen is you show up once a week to the shop.
Yeah.
And then what's your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so right now it's everything. Like I feel like what I'm trying to focus on is sales. I'm realizing I need to be the face of the business. Also, when something breaks, I've got to go drive, pick things up. But really, it's hard to put this on camera, but like the position that I've created for office admin, I feel like I'm always chasing that position. No one's catching on. My brother would have health issues. He couldn't show up to work sometimes. I'm like, my business can't afford to pay you to not do these things. And then I hired Holly and I paid my brother for a month to train her. And then like I've wrote out, like a workflow. Like it needs to be more detailed than this. Things just don't get done sometimes, and like I'll have conversations, and I'm really bad about firing people, but also like confronting them with things.
What level of management do you have of that office person right now? So it sounds like you have a call with them once a day. Is that kind of the extent of it?
It's throughout. Some days it's no calls at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 3 or 4.
Holly, there's pros and cons. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that she does really well at helping us and stuff like that, and then typically it's the stuff that's more important that kind of gets left behind here and there. And, just for a reference, scheduling yesterday, I had talked to her and I was like, hey, go ahead and get everything that you want on the schedule for tomorrow. And at the end of the day, I'll kind of run over it with you, see what we got. End of the day comes around, I call. Oh, I put one person on there, but I wasn't sure who you wanted to do and what you wanted to put together and all this. So I basically had to work my whole day, and then at the end of my day when I'm trying to go home, call her and then go through the whole shebang when she knows that she could have just put jobs on here and we would have went from there instead of just doing nothing.
Holly wasn't trained at all, and that, in my opinion, falls on Jesse entirely, because whenever she got hired on, his brother, Jeremy, was working, doing her job before, and he had wanted more money for what he was doing, and he was not good at his job either. I'm not saying Holly's not good at her job, it's just she wasn't trained. She was trained by somebody who was leaving the company. Like, he let everybody know that he was leaving the company. Why would you train your help or your replacement to the fullest extent if you're just gonna leave because they're not gonna pay you more money? Jesse had ended up going to California around that time. So Holly, she wasn't trained. That's not her fault at all. I mean, I agree that she doesn't do enough, if that makes sense. But if she was trained properly, she'd be great at her job, because she's good at what she does when she does it.
She's great. I mean, she's a great person. She does do a lot of things. It's just like there's days where there's things that are expected to be done, and to justify this position, it's like I need to see things being done. Like, I can already hardly afford this position. A lot of it, it's my fault, because like I've never had this position for that long. Like, I don't know exactly what it is to expect from that person. And it's like, as I'm implementing new things, like, it's always changing.
If someone's remote and there's not like strong leadership and accountability, there's just huge amounts of waste. Like, I bet you what she does in a whole day, you probably could get done in an hour and a half.
Yeah. I'm realizing, like, I know for sure, like, I need to be the manager, but I guess I need to be the admin as well.
If he's gonna have an admin person, someone in the office helping answer phones, do emails, payroll, etc., he's gonna need to create standard operating procedures, or SOPs, for that person to actually be successful in their role. And if the person's remote, you even need more management experience, or at least systems in place, because otherwise they can go rogue very quickly and not be efficient.
You have the core two main guys, right?
Yeah, Tracy and Levi.
Got it. And were they here when you were gone in California?
Yeah, that's what gave me the confidence, like, oh, I can leave. Like, I've been working with them. Sometimes I feel guilty I'm not up there every single day with them, but it's like, we've been doing it so long. What I'm scared of is me being there all the time, and then me having to police them. It's like showing up on time. Like, my crew leader was 20 minutes late. Like, things like that, it's just like, I'm gonna have to hold them accountable.
So we were told to show up at 7 o'clock at the shop. We showed up on time, but there was no Jesse to be found. And the crew didn't really even know we were supposed to be there and why we were there. And it was just a little disorganized.
Of course they get annoyed, but it's like, that's why I want P4P so bad, because like, there's no way to really discipline people that you need so badly.
He was saying something about initiating a late thing, where if you're late for 10 minutes, then it's this many points, 15 minutes, it's this many points, 30 minutes, it's this. I'm late every day. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I'm late like 10 minutes every single day. I'm a sleeper. I don't like to wake up early at all. Tracy, this morning I was late. He woke me up 3 minutes before I was supposed to be there, and I live a city away. But I do my job. I do my job well. I do my job very well, so.
That's my concern, is not being there.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I know you were gone, and so like it feels very normal. But like, if those two guys were gone, trying to replace that and having what do they think of you? Like, what do they think you're doing all day?
I'm probably trying to do too much. Trying to learn Copilot, P4P, and then just like working with Holly, the estimates, trying to get prepped for the season.
How do you stay communicating with the team all day long? Do you have and does that include the guys out in the field? Do you guys communicate like on a daily basis then? Like,
yeah.
And so
Tracy and mainly with Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like your main guy. And so what happens if he leaves?
It's scary if he leaves. Like, he does so much in this business.
Because like what I see is like I read the letter you wrote to me, and like I see your goals and the things you've posted online, like all of this and stuff. It's like you have big goals, but like I don't know if you'll be able to accomplish those if you're not the head of the company.
I just haven't wanted to micromanage them because like I just want them to have that ownership feeling, like they're in control. I have felt guilty about that. Like I need to be up there, but
If they wanted to be owners, they go start their own business.
I mean, I could probably open up my own company and be confident that I would be fine just because of my experience. I don't really want the responsibilities of it. You know what I mean? Not that I don't want responsibility, but having my own business, there's a lot to look at that most of the guys and other people in the world don't really think about. And I understand what it is. I've helped Jesse, like I said, with a long time, and 3 other lawn cares I was in the thicket of. Being an owner is one of those things that too much stress for me.
If I wanted to have the headache of running a business, I'd go out and I'd run a business. I choose to be an employee, and I choose this work because I believe it's mindless activity. I don't have to think very much whenever I do this. If I wanted the headache of running a business, I would just go out and start a business. It wouldn't be lawn care.
They want a leader.
Yeah.
They come for dependability of a paycheck, and if we are struggling to give them the dependability because the business is not doing well, there needs to be strong leadership to turn the thing around. For me, my general managers, I require them to be there first and be there last. Because every time that crew drives in the shop, I want them to see a general manager. Because there needs to be a clear leader. Because I guarantee you, besides maybe your one-off, like incredible unicorn GM person, they are assuming you are like doing other random stuff.
I feel like I pay them really well. That's another thing I need to ask about is I put them on salary, my 2 lead guys.
Okay.
And I don't think that's right. Like some people say you can do that, and a lot of people say you can't. I read the law and it looks like you probably shouldn't have them on there. So now I have to backtrack. Tracy made 51 last year. Levi made 46. But yeah, it's like now I have to backtrack and make that all right.
Well, do they want to be out of salary, or do they like salary?
They didn't like the idea of going to it, but my thought on it was it's like I can control like how many hours there are for them.
We were put on salary, and I'm at $40,000 a year. I also understand why he wants us on salary. Yeah, but I'm here to make money. It's like I don't want to be on salary. Put me back on hourly. I'll do that.
But this is the thing, when you have someone like these 2 guys that have stuck with you for 6 years, and they work when you're not there and all this other crazy stuff, I'd be sitting them down like, hey, I'm gonna get more involved in the business. I apologize. I have been working through my own personal issues this last several years. I'm jumping back into this business and I wanna make it great. I wanna build it with you guys. What do you all think is fair? Right now the business is struggling, but I see how valuable you all are to making sure it works and that we build a great business together.
Yeah.
What makes you guys energized and happy to come to work? Let's create that comp
I
plan.
sent them a questionnaire whenever I first came back.
That's like horrible. About pay?
Oh, or about pay?
Yeah.
Well, I included that in there. I asked, like, what do you guys want in the next 5 to 10 years?
This is why you talk to them in person though. These are the type of conversations a great manager has knee to knee with their main people. Get a questionnaire from my boss being like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And what do you want about pay? Like, just talk to them. They want leadership.
That's what most people want.
And so talk to them. Like if you were there every single morning, you wouldn't even have to send them a questionnaire. You'd know what they're thinking already.
I guess I did that because I just wanted everybody's answers all in the same place. I mean, Tracy, me and him talk all the time. He knows everything about me. I wanted to see what they were gonna put down on paper.
But like, recommit to the business, because right now, if you're not committed and there's not a strong leader, they are simply asking, what can I siphon off from this business in the short term? Because they don't see a future. They don't know what the future is. They don't know what the vision of the business is. They don't even know why they show up to work other than they just need a paycheck, and that's it.
Look, if you have 200 employees, I get the fact that you're not going to be able to have one-on-ones with every single one of them and see what what motivates them and what compensation works best for them. But if you have 1 or 2 people that are key players and instrumental in making sure the business actually operates, probably a good idea to make sure you understand how they like to be compensated and actually openly discuss how to make sure they stay on the team. Because without this key rock star of an employee, the business wouldn't even exist.
You're trying to be the architect of your business when what is required is to be a manager.
Yeah.
Because you're between 200,000 and 800,000. And this is the question of like a matter of like, do you want to even do the business? Because it feels to me like you want to get away from it. And it's a matter of like, it's the only thing I can do, so I must keep doing it. But like the fact that you go away to California, you don't show up at the office, you let her kind of do whatever she wants in terms of admin, and just like, well, I kind of need it done. Like, it makes me feel like you just want to run away from the business. In which case, if that's going to make you happier, let's figure out a way to get you out of the business.
So I've got something to tell myself about. Last year I planned a cruise. I haven't, like I said, I've been working for a long time. It's the worst time to do it.
When?
The 20th through the 29th of April.
Middle of spring rush. Have you already paid for it? Yeah.
Last year, yeah.
The guys are not going to react well to their leader going on a 10-day cruise in the middle of spring rush when they're working their butts off.
I hate that I'm like so mad at myself. I've been telling like if I could take it all back, like I would, but it's like I've already paid for everything.
You can't do everything. You can't be a bodybuilder working 2 hours a day and be a partier going on a cruise for 10 days with people that you aren't building long-term relationships with and be a leader in your business. You can't.
I just got lost for a while. I was deeply depressed, I was hurt. Honestly, like I hated everything. The relationship at the time, like we weren't fixing it. Like I was like, we need to get in church. I was drinking a lot, like at night, and just not watching what I was eating. I was like, I have to fix this.
Jesse, he had a drinking problem then. I mean, he's fixed that, and I'm really proud of him for it because it was bad. Like I had drink with him. Like he was a drinking buddy for me. I mean, there was a couple times, yeah, he'd stop and get a shooter here and there, but I mean, he wasn't like drinking on the job, I guess. I guess he was, but yeah, he was a different man then.
Have we fully got past that?
I think so. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I think so, and then some days it's like, man, why am I still dealing with this? Is it because I haven't fixed my business?
Like, have you got help with that stuff? Like to get through it?
I mean, I have been to a therapist, and like sometimes I'm just like, when does it end? Also, with the business, like it's like, okay, maybe I just need a coach. Right when they came back, I hired my first coach, and I'm like, it's not pushing the needle.
Did you feel differently before moving to California when you had your girlfriend and all the rest of it? Did you feel differently about the business?
I did. I was more proud of it. I mean, I longed for a family.
Well, I know. I read all your stuff. You want to be an alpha male. You want to have a family. You want to do all this stuff. That just screams to me someone that needs that in their life.
He needs a child because that's all of us. We have children. We want to be there for our child. I like to relax too. I like to spend time with my family, and that's not something that I necessarily get nowadays.
This area around here, we're in the Bible Belt, and everyone gets married here really young, has kids. Everyone my age typically has kids, and like I really don't want that. Like I have a really sweet girl I'm talking to, but I've told her like this just isn't ideal. Like I like you, but I really don't want someone else's kid. You got the baby daddy, like all these things. But it's just like I feel like this area, like it's a small pond. It's just like I don't have a lot of people in my life. It's just been this business, and like I've had several dates since that last one. That's an issue. Like I've outgrown my whole, like everyone in my family. I feel like there's a couple people I keep in touch with, but it's just like I'm more of a parent to my mom and dad than they are to me, and it's always been that way. I grew up thinking my little brother, my half little brother, dad was my dad until I was 7. I didn't meet my real dad until I was 7. Like you could just imagine having a father and mother that's not really present. When you go deep, that's where it really comes from. He didn't make much. He drank a lot. He was, a little physically abusive, not terribly, but very verbally abusive. That's why we moved out when we were 16. And my mom, like, she obviously loves us, but she couldn't provide for us. And it was just, I think I've been trying to prove myself like my whole life, pretty much. It's like that underdog fever is what it's been. And it's just like my family's not close, and it's like I loved getting away. Like I don't have to feel like guilt because I don't see them. But it's like they don't reach out to me. That's why I've always just worked so much. It's like I'm gonna make a bunch of money, create a life that nobody will ever recognize me. Like that's just the dream. Like when I moved to LA area, I was just like, this feels really good. Like I can be whoever I want to be. I can start over.
Typically in these turnarounds, I try to stick to the numbers and what someone should do based upon revenue and profits and expenses. However, keep in mind that we're all humans and that we have mental and emotional struggles that can absolutely impact the numbers. So instead of me going to his numbers, I want to really focus on how do we fix the root of the problem, which is these mental struggles that he's going through.
The first action of you running away from the business happened after you wanted to run away from that relationship. Like you want to get away from it. Also, if the business was the wedge in that relationship, you'll also feel against it for that reason.
Yeah.
And you won't want to get involved because that's what originally tore your heart out, is getting involved in the business and then losing something you loved. This is where this is out of my league, but like, it might be a matter of you need to find someone that you can depend on. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not joking. Once you've
yeah.
that, and once you've had that with somebody,
Yeah.
and like that's been your rock, and then you lose that, you'll just be floundering.
Yeah, it's literally, that's what it's been. I thought by now I'd have probably 2 kids, a wife.
Yeah, but that's
That was the
like, we
ideal.
can't figure that out.
Yeah,
right?
for
Like that's
sure.
in the past.
Yeah.
But like if we look forward, now you're 31, and if that's something you must have in order to be able to operate, we need to figure that out. I think all of this stems from a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Like you're afraid. You keep saying like, I'm afraid, I don't know what. Like these are all things of like indecisive and feeling like afraid of like making decisions.
I think that a significant other, whether it's just starting out or long term, can help somebody physically, emotionally. And then there's a topping off on the business side of he wants to, kind of like the things that you're gonna help him kind of figure it out. He thinks he should be able to make those and just come up with it, and you know, that's what he's gonna do. And he gets into that position where, well, is this gonna be better than this, or is that gonna be better than this? I feel like that makes him second guess a lot. And when he second guesses, I've noticed, you know, that confidence level definitely comes down and he starts kind of reaching out. What do you think? What do you think?
Stop overthinking everything. He's a Libra, and I mean, he's done it since day one, since knowing him. Just, he'll think this, and he's like, but we can do it this way. We can do it this way. And I understand, but there's a certain point where you're thinking about it too much.
I want you to have the confidence, like, I know this business. I know every role here. I have full control of the team, and I'm the leader. And get confidence put back into you.
I hired a coach for that too. I've hired way too many coaches.
Here's the thing, you get a coach when you don't know the next step to take. So like, what I'm trying to give you is the next 2 steps. And those are the only things you need to focus on. You notice how little we've talked about things like close ratio.
I know, and I'm like,
because people think that's what business is.
Yeah.
But you will figure those things out when you have confidence. And that's the part I see this as a lack right now. And if you will figure out just these 2 parts, so much will fall in place. I'll come back in a year and a half or 2 years, and like literally you're like, yeah, I figured all this stuff out. Hiring process, nailed it. Why? Because I was at the shop every morning. I figured out what was working, what was not. I figured out who was a great employee, who was not. My hiring process became really easy because I had a checklist now. Every morning they came and talked to me their first 2 weeks of work, and I made sure they went through these certain tasks.
Yeah.
I would focus more on the fact that right now you know all the things that need to be done. You don't actually need to learn any new information. We've already talked about the 2 things you must do. Once those are done, then it's like, okay, what's next? Oh, I need to implement pay for performance. Okay, great. I'm just gonna focus on that. I'm not gonna go through all of this, try to switch my CRMs, try to do pay for performance, try to find a girlfriend. Like, you can only do so many things.
Sometimes as entrepreneurs, it is mentally stimulating to get a lot of opinions about your business or even learn new things. But learning new things and having a great plan doesn't make you successful. Great execution makes you successful. And the only thing you can do is currently one thing in front of you. Execute against that. Who cares about the 10-year plan, the 5-year plan, the other 1,000 things you could be doing in your business? Focus on one thing, and if you getting a bunch of voices and coaches and programs and audiobooks and conferences in your head is going to distract you from that one thing, we might need to actually cut it out. Now, if you don't know what next step in your business you should be focused on, that's why I'd love for you to apply at mikeandys.com/turnaround. I'll come out to your location, just like I did for Jesse, and give you the step that you should be focused on to grow your business and take it to the next level. And if it's struggling, turn it around.
It's those 2 things. Leadership, and you need to find a relationship.
The relationship, that's hard. Picking the right one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
in part, figure out number one, having confidence around the business, and then have the systems to where you can delegate time to focusing on that. You'll figure out number two. Like they're kind of like dependent on each other.
Yeah.
If you figure out number two, number one would probably fix itself. And if number one was figured out and you had great leadership and the business was running well and you really had a pulse on it, you'd probably have time for number two.
All this stuff does go together. Like, it's all one package.
Yeah.
It all affects each other. I feel like this is like the moment. I don't want to mess it up, you know what I mean? But I was looking for so many more answers. It's simple. There's, I guess, two things I need to focus on, and that can fix everything. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
His state of mind, I mean, a go-getter. I mean, he typically, Jesse can set his mind to something and he'll go out and get it, you know, whether it's, you know, a couple weeks or 6 months, you know, whatever it kind of takes and the steps it takes to get there. You know, Jesse's proved to me throughout the years that it's something that he's capable of doing.
Oh man, I knew this was coming. So we've got 3 guys in each truck. We've got 2 trucks going, and I have put a point system in place. So that's really helped hold the guys accountable, showing up on time. Most of them do, but it's like all the new guys, it's always an issue with them, it seems like. But I've been there every morning and every night, and it's really just helped a lot. It's just like 15, 20 minutes, really that big of a deal, but it is. Makes a huge difference, I can tell. Levi, I've had a lot of leniency with him over the years. He's came and gone a whole lot, and it's kind of been this mindset of like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. But I think he's starting to see like all the hard work me and Tracy has been putting in, and I'm showing him that I'm really serious about this. I told him, you know, this is a way for me to measure if you really care about the company, the culture, and our job. And I mean, him and Tracy have the least points out of everybody, so that's awesome. They're my key players. So it's a 24-point system. I give them a 5-minute grace period, and then if you're 10 minutes late, that's 1 point. 20 minutes, 2 points. 30 minutes, 3. And then once you start getting up to 4 and 5, it's kind of like a range of hours, and I can give them however many points I want, really, because I'm the boss at the end of the day. It just goes up in increments like that. But say you no call, no show, that's 12 points. 1 no call, no show, a lot of people will fire you automatically. But in this business, we know how hard it is to replace people. Sometimes things happen, but it shouldn't be a no call, no show anytime. But if it's twice, you're gone. My plan moving forward is to get P4P going with Yardbook, and then hopefully over the winter time switch over to Copilot. I've always been scared to hire and fire because I didn't really have a way to measure, you know, when to do that or why. And now that I have this point system and I record it, that says everything and does everything for me right there. And I'm going out and I'm interviewing, especially now that there's a couple guys with higher points so early on in the year. That measurement says, hey, you need to go interview some guys, you know, and be ready to replace them. I mean, I was so close to letting her go. There were so many things that didn't get done. It was amazing. She quit like a week after. I was applying pressure. I knew I was either going to let her go eventually or things were going to start getting finished for $40,000 a year, and things weren't. That's probably the biggest win so far, is like just me being back in control at this size. I jumped the gun on getting an admin. I think until you get to a certain size, and that's why I'm so glad I've watched a lot of Mike Andy stuff, is until you get to a certain size, you really don't need that. Like, I need to just grind it out. I'm at that $500,000 mark. I'm gonna have to grind it out until I get to like 800 or $1 million, until I have a position like that and have the systems in place. I don't think anyone can blame me for being ambitious, but you gotta take care of business first. I was kind of disappointed. When Mike came, I thought I'd get a whole lot, you know, of questions answered, and I get it. Like, I had a ton of questions for him, and a lot of them are gonna get figured out over time. The girlfriend thing, it hasn't happened yet. That was one of the big things, and then showing up to the shop every single morning. Yeah, I kind of wish I got some different advice than that, but hey, I mean, it makes sense what he said, but I'm not gonna just jump in a relationship, just for that. It's got to be the right time, right deal. But I think it's a good time to just keep my head down and focus and prioritize my time. I really am interested. Like, a family is all I want, kids is all I want, but I want them of my own. We live in the Bible Belt, and like most the single women around here have kids. And I've actually been talking to this girl for a good 5-6 months, and she has a child, and like that's just something I don't know if I'm ready for. So I don't even think I shared that, but really like the girl, but it's just hard to accept, I mean, in other parts of the country, people are still 30 living at home, but here, you move out, you start a family, you get married, but there's just a lot of divorced single moms around here. It seems like that was kind of the fuel, almost part of it, for moving to California. I really think it was a wake-up call, him coming, and it made me want to go a little harder. I've been doing this for quite a while. Like, I think there's some people that get on this show really early. It's like paralysis analysis, like, for way too long. I'm bad at just like making the decision and going with it and sticking with it. And I'll try and switch things around a lot, and then I don't stick with it, and then I feel like I failed. And then it's like I ended up like in this spot of like, what am I supposed to do? I've tried a lot of different things, but I haven't had that follow through. Oh man, I knew this was coming. I am gonna go. Yep. I put in a lot of work, paid for it. Probably it's not the best thing to do, but I've got my twin brother that was taking care of everything from before. I'm gonna have Wi-Fi. I'm gonna have my cell phone. So if for some reason something messes up, my brother can take care of everything. Yeah, it's not the best idea in the world, but I've been working hard my whole life. I've never been out of the country. Excuses, I'm justifying it, yes, I know, but it's gonna be 1 week. I don't think the world's gonna end.